I've made it 3 hours. I'm not sure I'm going to make it tonight. Send for me. Did anyone hear that? Today on the camera project, I'm here in the snow-covered woods, trying to survive. Sometimes you come to regret your decisions. Hopefully, this isn't one of those times. All right, so let's talk about our survival strategy today. We've got our zones of survival. We've got my survival knowledge, which is zone 1. And in that department, I'm pretty much clueless. For zone 2, let's see what the producers have given me in the pack. I am out here by myself, shooting, recording, talking, babbling on, nonsense. All right, let's see what's in the pack. First, we got our Sony FDR-X3000, and that's going to be our B-roll camera for right now until we see what else we have. Okay, so in the pack, well, first we can see right on the outside, we've got a GorillaPod with a phone mount. That's going to come in handy. Then, well, yep, we've got the phone, an iPhone XR. Okay, let's see what else is in the bag. We've got a multi-tool. Now, I assume that's helpful to someone, but not sure how it's going to help me do a review. Gaffer's tape. Yep, that's pretty much going to come in handy in any situation, so we're going to be needing that. We've got this bag from Hollyland. That's right. Today we're reviewing the Hollyland Lark 150. Now here is a bag of accessories that I've gathered that came with it, and in there we have 2 windscreens. We have 2 lavalier mics that came with the unit. And let's see what else it came with. All right, came with this. And this is the charging case. Think Apple AirPods, where you put it in the case to charge when you're not listening, or in this case, not recording. And the case itself is a battery. So when you're out on the field and you don't have anywhere to plug in, well, this case is charging your receiver and transmitters. The other cool thing is that if you do have a battery pack with you, you can further be charging it with a USB-C cable right in the field, which is pretty awesome. And this unit is a really nice, thick, heavy plastic. It feels honestly really solid. It's got some weight to it, which is probably the included battery that's in it. Can charge it around 2.5 times without going back to being charged itself. We've got a Rode Wireless Go microphone. That's going to be good for comparisons. Okay, this is a Sandmark Action Year set of filters for the iPhone. So, looks like we're going to be using our iPhone and doing another review today. Here I have the Sony a7 III, and on top of it I have a small HD monitor just so I could see if I'm in frame. Now, more importantly, rigged to it, we have the Hollyland receiver unit, which will take in the signal from the 2 transmitters that are included. But on the screen you get nice levels. You can set your output in one of 20 levels. It comes with a handy clip where you could put it in right into the hot shoe of the camera. Now my hot shoe is being used by the monitor, so I put it into one of my spare hot shoes on the monitor rig. I want to talk right now about the Hollyland microphone and what drew me to review this thing. Now, I own a Rode Wireless Go. In fact, I have it right here with me. And I love that thing. It's really great because while I used to always use a Tascam DR40 on productions, now when time is of the essence, I can just hook up a lavalier or a shotgun mic right into the Rode and have it going right into camera, and then I don't have to deal with the extra hassle in post of syncing them together. I really love the workflow of being able to have mics wireless right into my camera, not have to worry about the distance a wire is running across the floor and tripping people and all the things like that. But there are downsides with the Rode, and really the Hollyland addresses a lot of them. So one of the downsides with the Rode is it's one microphone source. And often I like to have 2, because if I were to rustle up against my coat right now, my lav sound would probably be unusable, and I'd always want some kind of shotgun or boom to be my backup or my primary sound for that matter. But I don't like to have to choose, so I like having 2 microphones. With the Hollyland Lark 150, it has 2 transmitters that go to the 1 receiver. They call it stereo mode. You have each channel separate, which means one microphone transmitter goes to the left and the other goes to the right. The other cool thing that you could do with the Hollyland is that you can have, let's say, just one mic source and have a backup recording. Now that's something I always do when I'm using one mic source with the Tascam. I'll have my main audio levels and then I'll have one set to say -6 dB, which is exactly what this does. One channel records the levels you set and the other channel records -6 dB. So if I were to talk really loud all of a sudden, I could avoid peaking, or maybe there's a background noise I need to get rid of. Things like that I could avoid and have that safety. That is fantastic. Now, the other thing I really like about the Hollyland is that the screen actually shows you the levels of each unit and you have an independent gain knob. Now, with the Rode, I do have gain control, but it's just 3 settings. There's low, medium, and high, let's call them. And on the Hollyland, I have 20 levels of adjustment separate for each mic source. So all those features are awesome. Now, when you think about 2 microphones, the first use case that came to my mind was merely having 2 different microphones in an interview setup. I could have one person mic'd with one mic and the other person mic'd with the other mic. And that totally works, and that is the obvious use case. But then the more I thought of it, there's tons of other use cases that are fantastic. So one is having a boom mic hooked up into one channel and a lavalier hooked up into the other channel. The other is to have a sort of dedicated sound effects microphone. So I'm gonna take a walk through the woods and I'm gonna have my lavalier hooked here, and then I'm gonna hook another one up to my boot so you could get the sound of my footsteps in the snow. 2 mic sources going right into the camera, don't have to worry about syncing in post. Fantastic. So I'm just gonna walk through the snow so you can get a sense of that dedicated sound. Now, even if I am talking during that recording, I'm still getting the benefit of both recordings. A few days ago, it was probably about a foot of snow out here, but it's been warming up and you'll see lots of water everywhere. Now, this is always a river, but some of these puddles here aren't always here. Right now, I'm about 15 feet from the camera. Let's see how it works when I go a little bit further. Okay, so right now, I'm probably about 40 feet from the camera, 35, 40 feet from the camera, and we'll see how it sounds. Here it is with me facing the camera, and here it is with my back to the camera. I didn't plan this well, and there's a hill here, but here I am, probably about 50 feet from the camera. Honestly, I don't really see going much further than this realistically. But there are instances, maybe you're doing a performance on stage and you need to mic the talent and you need to be all the way in the back of the stadium. Right, I'm about halfway down the hill. I'm guessing I don't know, I might be close to 100 feet right now. We'll see if we still have a signal. You probably can't see me anymore, but I've got to be 150, 140 feet away. How'd it do? All right, so I want to do another sound test, and that is the difference between the transmitter microphone and the included lavalier microphone. So the transmitters each have a microphone built in, and why would you want that if it comes with a lavalier? Well, because sometimes you don't have the time to run a wire through someone's coat or shirt, and you just want a really quick setup. Let's say you're interviewing people on a show floor or something like that. You just want to be able to hand it to them, say, clip it to your lapel, and you're done. Day 2. This morning was rainy and the fog rolled in. It started to clear up a little bit, but I'm hanging strong and I've definitely been out here the whole time. Definitely. You may be wondering why this crazy getup with 4 things clipped to my lapel. Well, that's because right now I am testing the built-in microphones on both the Hollyland and the Rode. Now, this is a flawed system, and I know that going in, but I want to compare how the Rode sound quality compares to the Hollyland with the built-in microphones. The way I'm doing that, though, is running the Rode transmitter into one of the Hollyland transmitters, essentially as a microphone. Again, I know this is flawed. I realize that. but we'll see how they sound. Are they comparable? Honestly, I don't think the flawed test is really going to harm anything, because whatever the handicap might be, theoretically they both have the same handicap. Here's the road, here's the road, here's the road, here's the road, and here's the Hollyland, here's the Hollyland, here's the Hollyland. So we will see. I will say that I like the windscreen setup on the Hollyland better. It uses, basically it uses the headphone jack, or the microphone jack in this case, to attach the windscreen, whereas the Rode has this kind of fiddly thing that clips above the microphone, and it's harder to get on and it's harder to stay on, and I definitely prefer the Hollyland there. All right, so I've talked a lot about what I really like about the Hollyland Lark 150, but of course there are things that I don't love. Now, the first one is really not a fault of the unit itself. It's a fault of some of our cameras. So it comes with the TRS cable, I believe it's called, the one that you attach to a phone. But if you do attach to a phone, you lose the benefits of having the two split out channels. And that's not a fault of the unit. After doing some research, I realized that that cable has a left, a right, and a microphone input, which is inherently a mono input. So everything gets muxed into one input. So if your goal is to use this with a phone and have two separate channels, well, this isn't going to work, because you have to use, well, if you have an iPhone, you need that little converter cable if it's a newer phone, and then you plug in the headphone jack to it, and then everything gets put to one channel. So you don't get the benefit of the -6 dBs, and you don't get the benefit of the split channels. That said, if you just need one microphone, it'll totally work, and it includes the cable, which is nice. If you are using a true camera, like the Sony a7 III or Olympus, Panasonic, whatever, Canon, Nikon, they're gonna work because they have a true input that is actually stereo. The other downside that I have is that the transmitters themselves have little mute buttons on them, as do the buttons on the receiver. Inherently, that's not really a problem, but I just find that they're easy to press by accident, and I think I have done a few takes where I thought I was recording and I wasn't, because I bumped that button, or I hit it by accident, because the same button that mutes it on the receiver is the button that you use to switch modes. Like right now, I'm in the stereo -6 mode, and to change that, I hold the left button down for a few seconds, but if I tap it again at the end, well, then I'm gonna mute by accident. So if you're on a proper set where someone's listening with headphones, that's not really a problem. But if you're doing a one-man operation like this and you kind of have to go back and forth, well, it might be a problem. Now, right now I can see that my audio levels are moving, but I don't always look at that, or sometimes I'm too far away from the monitor even to see that. So little downsides, you know, I wish there was maybe like a lock button on the side of it that you could, you know, make it so you can't mute the channels by accident. But again, just a little bit of a nitpick, something you just need to be a little bit careful about. And I have one more downside for the Hollyland form factor. Again, not a huge deal, but if you're planning on putting your eye to the eyepiece of your camera while you're shooting video, well, you might hit those mute buttons by accident like I just did. It can happen. So that leaves me to my conclusions. What did I think of the Hollyland Lark 150? Well, I think it's great. It's certainly not expensive for what it does. The fact that you have the two transmitters, the fact that you have the -6 dB version of the recording, it's all things that are really invaluable to video production, whether you're sort of a one-man band or even doing corporate videos or something like that. It's something that I will absolutely use on set with clients and in these videos, no doubt. If you enjoyed this review, please let me know. And once again, please subscribe to the channel.